This is United Network News with Sunny Galt, Calen Gipp, Kimberly Gogan, and our field messengers from around the world. Here's today's real news. It's Monday, October 6, 2025, and here are today's stories. Gloves, masks, syringes, bandages, essential for safety, but once used, they become medical waste. And when you add up every hospital and clinic around the world, it's a staggering problem we can't ignore. Off the coast of Fuerteventura, Spain, a biological station is giving injured sea turtles a second chance at life, helping them recover and return to the ocean. In South Africa, families are facing another kind of challenge: funerals. Deeply meaningful but increasingly expensive, these ceremonies are putting serious financial strain on grieving families trying to honor their loved ones. Over in Egypt, authorities are cracking down on TikTok. Teens with millions of followers have been arrested for allegedly posting indecent content, with devices seized and travel restricted as part of the crackdown. Hidden in the Danube Delta, there's a subtropical paradise filled with wild horses, rare birds, and centuries-old trees. A unique ecosystem where nature and history come alive. We'll take you there. And in New Jersey, Ukrainian folk art is coming to life. Participants at a local workshop are learning the delicate craft of decorating eggs with wax and dyes, keeping a centuries-old tradition alive. If you've ever been to a doctor's office or hospital, you know how quickly single-use items pile up. Gloves, masks, syringes, bandages, they're necessary for safety, but once they've been used, they become medical waste. Multiply that by every healthcare provider, and you've got a massive problem on your hands. Medical waste is a problem everywhere, from small clinics to massive hospital systems. The sheer volume of disposable items used in healthcare adds up quickly, and it all has to go somewhere. According to the Centers for Disease Control, or CDC, U.S. healthcare providers generate more than 3 million tons of medical waste every year. That's everything from contaminated gloves to used gauze pads and needles. Managing this mountain of waste is no small task. In fact, medical waste disposal is now a multi-billion-dollar industry. Analysts estimate it's already worth more than $2 billion in the U.S. and could top $3 billion by 2030. And some of this waste was never technically used.
So I wanted to flag something with hospitals. Anything that all the supplies that they bring to your room, so they pack your drawers with things that they might need, like, syringes or pre-filled syringes of sodium chloride. All of these things, like feeding bags, they want to stock up your room with what you need. However, if you leave the room or if you're transferred to another room, if you don't take any of that stuff with you, all of that stuff gets thrown out. It's considered contaminated and they will not be able to reuse it. So what nurses have to do is, if I have no need for it or if I don't take it home, they all get thrown out. So brand new packaged supplies will get thrown away. Everything here will get thrown away.
Countless supplies, from unopened syringes to sealed gowns and gloves, often end up in the trash because of strict hospital protocols, overstocking, or the expiration of use-by dates. But what about the medical waste that has been used? The World Health Organization estimates roughly 1 in 3 healthcare facilities around the world aren't safely handling their medical waste. And the problem is even bigger in places with fewer resources. For decades, the primary method of dealing with medical waste was incineration. The Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, reports more than 90% of potentially infectious waste was incinerated before 1997. It was fast and effective, but it came with a steep environmental cost, releasing pollutants into the air and contributing to climate concerns. Since then, new technologies have stepped in. Autoclaves that sterilize waste with high-pressure steam are now common, and ozone sterilization is gaining ground as a cleaner, more sustainable alternative. The issue, though, isn't just about waste piling up. It's also about where that waste goes. Communities often push back when disposal facilities are proposed nearby, worried about pollution and health risks. In fact, in Alabama, residents recently gathered outside a county courthouse with signs voicing concerns over a proposed medical waste facility. Their message was clear. No one wants this kind of operation in their backyard.
I'm here to support the group that we want the commissioners to vote no to having medical waste in our area.
Sue Thomason was one of many Blount County neighbors from Remlap voicing their concerns over a proposal to bring a new medical waste facility to their town. Some even saying it's about their quality of life.
We've got people that's lived in this community for 40, 50, 60 years, and they're willing, I think, to take a stand to stop this, and maybe they could just move somewhere else.
According to the developers, machines would reportedly grind medical waste into shredded material before hauling it to a landfill. David Dyer, the owner of Harvest Medical Waste, says his facility is safe, but he understands the pushback. Dyer says he first talked to Birmingham about building there.
I spoke with Mayor Woodfin, multiple people in the City Council of Birmingham who wanted us there. Couldn't find a building. We tested thousands of people here in Blount County at multiple tanks.
Medical waste may feel like a problem too big for individuals to influence, but there are ways to help. Supporting hospitals and clinics that adopt sustainable practices, advocating for donation programs that redirect unused supplies, and raising awareness about the environmental impact of healthcare can make all the difference. On a larger scale, pushing for policies that encourage cleaner technologies can help reduce the burden on landfills and the environment.
A biological station in Fuerteventura, Spain, rescues and rehabilitates sea turtles, helping them recover from injuries and return to the ocean. UNN Field Messenger Emma shares more about the incredible work they're doing.
Hi, my name is Emma. I'm a field messenger for United Network News, reporting from Fuerteventura, Spain, in Europe. This report is about turtle rescue and monitor operations on Fuerteventura. The biological station in Fuerteventura is responsible for all marine life around the island. Sometimes they get reports of turtles that need help. One day when I was visiting the biological station, there was a single turtle resting in a container with seawater. The veterinarian explained that the turtle had problems with its lungs and blood, and was given treatment and needed some food and a good rest. A young loghead turtle, or the species called careta, has been released back into the sea at Playa Blanca in Puerto del Rosario after being rescued and rehabilitated. It was suffering from dehydration and injuries caused by entanglement in fishing gear. The animal underwent weeks of care before regaining full health, and it was returned to the ocean under the supervision of the island's Department of Environment. Another turtle is called Chauffeur. She's a sub-adult female loghead sea turtle, and she's 15 years old. She was released with a satellite tracking device attached to her shell in 2023. This measured her position in the ocean and collected oceanic information like temperature and pressure. They collect a lot of information from with the help of these turtles. So this organization is not only investigating the Canary Current and the upwelling system, but it also works collaborative with international colleagues in other regions of the world, especially to monitor the oceans. So turtles are very well taken care of here on Fuerteventura and has even been supported by the Spanish Queen Sofia. Hope you liked the report. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.
South African funerals are a deeply significant part of their culture, rich with traditions that unite families in grief. Unfortunately, these ceremonies have become incredibly costly, often forcing families into financial strain just to honor their loved ones. The expenses quickly add up, making an already difficult time even harder for many. According to the report, Funeral Services and Related Activities in South Africa 2024, funeral costs in South Africa are rapidly increasing. In 2024, South Africa had the fourth most expensive funerals globally, with costs 3% higher than the global average. This surge is due to cultural practices, inflation, rising service fees, and the escalating cost of burial plots. Compounding this financial burden is a severe shortage of burial spaces in major cities like Durban and Johannesburg. This scarcity leads to undignified practices like grave reusage and alleged bribery for plots, violating citizens' rights to a dignified burial. The current situation pushes people into expensive private burial markets, making dignified burials unaffordable for many. This has created inequality and corruption, with families forced to pay bribes for grave sites.
We've got a massive shortage of graves, right? South Africa's got a shortage of graves. It's a problem
across all religions.
Across all religions, right? And it's a combination of different things. So the South African population has doubled in the last 35 years. So immediately you need twice as many people, are going to be buried. So that's one part of the problem. We also have to factor into all of this, whether we're talking about our AIDS, we're talking about all of the other drama, COVID, everything else. We've got lots of people who are dying, right? I can't remember the number. I know I looked it up at one point in time. I had to maybe check it up before I got here. But we have X number of people who die every day. So there's a certain number of funerals. Where do we bury them?
But not all going to be buried.
But not all are going to be buried, right? But then if we're looking at not all going to be buried, in South Africa still, cremation is not the preferred method. Majority of the people are still buried. So now we need massive tracts of land. In Saudi, the way that they generally bury, and again, local conditions vary. You could have sand where you have very quick decomposition and somewhere they have slow decomposition. But when you have that, they would bury in layers. They bury 41 foot layer, from what I understand, in some areas, and then they'll place 42, and then they'll close up. In other places, they'll bury, and then you've got to wait X number of years before the decomposition happens and you can go back.
Adding to the challenges, the funeral industry in South Africa faces a significant problem: a lack of proper regulation. Some funeral directors have taken advantage of vulnerable families. According to Masthead, South Africa's leading compliance and risk management provider for financial services, many funeral homes act like insurance companies, selling funeral plans without the necessary licenses. This means families might pay premiums but have no guarantee their claims will be paid when someone dies. Having a proper insurer means the insurer, not the funeral home, is directly responsible for paying claims, which in turn protects families from financial hardship. Amidst these issues, many South Africans are overpaying for funeral cover insurance, unaware of a much cheaper and often overlooked alternative.
Most people think funeral cover is the only option to cover funeral expenses. So you take out these expensive policies that charge high premiums month after month, even when you are in good health. And unfortunately, some advisors push these funeral policies because they are easy to sell and require no medical questions. But here's the truth they don't always tell you. If you are in reasonably good health, you can qualify for something that is called an immediate expense benefit or final expense benefit, which is an underwritten benefit, meaning you may be required to go for a medical checkup. This benefit pays out within 48 hours, just like a funeral cover after death, and it covers from $50,000 to $150,000 to cover funeral expenses. And here's the thing, it can be 40 to 80% cheaper than funeral covers. I showed this to one of the new advisors who was about to give a client $100,000 funeral cover for 220 Rand per month premium, and that if she offered the client the final expense or immediate expense benefit, the client would save about 160 Rand per month, getting 150,000 of final expense cover. So the client would get 50,000 more cover for 161 Rand per month cheaper. Of course, this would mean over time thousands of rands in savings.
The Financial Sector Conduct Authority and other regulators are tightening the rules around funeral insurance to crack down on fraud, improve transparency, and protect consumers. Changes will focus on reducing fake claims, keeping better records, holding agents accountable, and ensuring real-time access to policy data. Non-compliance can lead to big fines, loss of trust, deregistration, and the inability to process claims when families are most vulnerable.
Amino acids play a vital role in maintaining your overall health and well-being. Not enough amino acids and protein daily can result in brain fog, hormone imbalances, digestive issues, cognitive function, lack of energy, lower immunity, decreased muscle strength, and much more. That's why we created our amino acid complex, packed with 21 free-form, easily digestible aminos that skip the breakdown and go straight to work energizing your mind and body. Used by athletes, vegans, and high performers. New Earth's amino acid complex helps your mind and body recover, rebuild, and renew daily. Subscribe now and optimize your life.
Hello, I'm Susan from Sweden.
Mwanda Maipo from Eastern Uganda, Africa.
Hi, I'm Tim from Vancouver, Canada.
I'm Titesho Togao from Manipur State, India. I'm Gumba Obasi from Southeast Nigeria.
Arnaito Chakrini from Western Uganda, Mbarara.
At United Network News, you are the news.
My name's Christina, field messenger, report first one in the hurricane down here in Southern California from Mexico.
Real people reporting real stories from all around the world. At UNN, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Jason from United Network News. We're going to be doing some aircrete building with new technologies that allow us to live in comfort and also off the grid.
Take the next step in changing the way the world gets the news. Become a UNN field messenger today.
I am Michelle from South Africa, and we are the United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I am United Network News.
If it is going to be, then it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
Si va a ser así, depende de mí. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN.
Egypt is cracking down on TikTok creators, arresting teens for allegedly posting indecent content. With millions of followers, dozens have been detained recently. Authorities claim they're investigating unlawful financial gains, freezing assets, banning travel, and seizing devices. They accuse creators of using obscene language, violating public morals, and misusing social media. The arrests follow an online campaign and complaints from lawyers, though no one's explained what the supposed danger really is. People arrested face criminal charges under Egypt's cybercrime law, which Human Rights Watch says is often used to limit free speech and can lead to 6 months to 3 years in prison and large fines. One troubling aspect is how authorities can scan a TikToker's posts, and if they find one indecent, they can label their income illegal and charge them with financial crimes. Interestingly, even while some creators are detained, their accounts remain active, showcasing everything from comedy and lip syncs to beauty ads and glimpses of daily life in working class neighborhoods.
Why is a 19-year-old Egyptian TikTok star in jail? Mariam Ayman, popularly known as Susie El Ordonia, is one of dozens of teenage TikTokers who have been arrested by Egyptian police. Ayman went viral a few years ago and has captivated her audience of over 9.4 million users with videos of her everyday life, from photo shoots with her boyfriend to clips of her sister who has an intellectual disability. Now, she faces charges of distributing indecent content and laundering 15 million Egyptian pounds, or roughly $470,000. This came after a podcast interview where she said if she had 10 million Egyptian pounds, she would spend half of it to move her family to a better home. Ayman's fleeting remark was interpreted to violate Egypt's 2018 cybercrime law, which criminalizes any content that infringes on the principles or family values in Egyptian society. Although her content was not explicitly political, the authorities decided that her comments implied that her living conditions were simply not good enough. Shortly after her appearance, Mohammed Abdel Adi, who interviewed her, was also arrested. And if you thought that was bad, once authorities identify a content creator's work as indecent, all of their profits become illegal as well. And Ayman is not alone. The Egyptian Initiative for Personal Rights has tracked at least 151 people charged under the cybercrime law in the past 5 years, a figure it said is likely an underestimate. Authorities even recruited citizens to report objectionable content, which EIPR lawyer Labna Darwish claims has led to the targeting of female TikTok users, those with dissenting religious views, or LGBTQ+ creators. She also claims people have been investigated over private content that hasn't been shared publicly, but was leaked from their phones.
Halim Hanish, a human rights lawyer, says this crackdown shows a larger issue with Egypt's approach to security and politics. He argues any form of expression, whether it's protesting, discussing rising prices on TikTok, or simply creating content the government dislikes, can land people in jail. He also points out the government's only solution is a security crackdown, even when people are just expressing opinions, not committing crimes. This isn't the first time TikTok creators have been in the spotlight. Back in 2020, young women were targeted for dancing and lip syncing on the platform, with authorities labeling their content as too suggestive. As usual, government supporters loved it, while rights groups called out the vague indecency charges. The same pattern is now repeating: public complaints, arrests, and little clarity on what constitutes the alleged harm.
The major danger in Articles 25 and 27 of the cybercrime law is that when it becomes very difficult to prove other accusations, since they require specific established bases and rules of evidence, proving something like violating Egyptian family values becomes very easy. This is a case of control over society and over its image and its discourse as a whole. We've reached a stage where it is thorough. It's not just about specific topics, but about everything.
Adding to the complexity, Ahmed Badawi, a member of Parliament's Telecommunications Committee, says Egypt has given TikTok 3 months to follow its laws and cultural rules, and TikTok reportedly agreed to change its content to fit Egypt's culture. In its latest quarterly report, TikTok claims it removed more than 2.9 million videos from Egypt for violating community guidelines. For many Egyptian creators, TikTok provides a decent income in a country with relatively low wages, even though they earn far less than their U.S. counterparts. However, financial analyst Tamer Abdulaziz argues if the government is concerned about illegal financial flows, it should focus on regulating companies rather than targeting individual content creators. These developments highlight the tension between digital freedoms and government controls. with TikTok creators caught in the middle of a much larger debate over expression, culture, and authority in Egypt.
The Letea Forest, a subtropical paradise in the Danube Delta, is full of rich history and a unique ecosystem. UNN Field Messenger Monica takes us through its wonders.
Hello, Monica here from Romania, Field Messenger reporting for UNN. During the spring season, I had the opportunity to take a boat ride along the canals of the Danube Delta to arrive at the village of Leta. From there, I took an enjoyable 8-kilometer horse-drawn carriage ride to arrive at the Leta Forest. The Danube Delta Biosphere Reserve, together with the Leta Forest, represents the third place in the world after the Galapagos Archipelago and the Great Barrier Reef in the number of plant and animal species. Over 5,500 species of plants and animals exist in the area, and it is a paradise for researchers, marine biologists, botanists, and nature lovers. The Leta Forest, standing within the reserve, is the northernmost subtropical forest in Europe with vegetation, flora, and fauna unusual for Romania. 5,000 years ago, where the Leta Forest is now, was a sea. It receded, leaving very large dunes. The small jungle forest developed in the form of wide strips, gaps in the spaces between dunes. There is no vegetation on these dunes except the only plant called the sand tendril. It grows on the dunes, stabilizing them somewhat with rhizomatous roots. In late June, the plant produces edible red fruits that resemble raspberries and have a tasty watermelon-like flavor. In addition to the dunes, ancient trees and jungle-like lianas or woody vines, the Leta Forest is also home to beautiful wild horses. Here you will see wild horses in all their splendor, bright and free in their habitat, grazing, galloping, cooling off in the water, and taking shade tree siestas. The horses that now roam Leta Forest freely carry the genes of their wild ancestors, as well as the genes of the horses brought by the many peoples who have passed through over time. I hope you enjoyed my story about the Leta Forest. It's a true story with the power to stir memories of the fairy tales beloved in our childhood. You know, the ones we used to imagine with enchanted centuries-old trees with twisted branches and woody vines climbing up, or smiling as we ran through the trees, seeing the wild horses and the many species of birds flying over the rolling dunes. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
At a Ukrainian folk art event in Morris Plains, New Jersey, participants learned to create intricate designs on eggs with wax and colored dyes. UNN Field Messenger Amy shares her experience.
Hi, Amy reporting for UNN from Morris Plains, New Jersey. Today I attended a pisanki egg decorating event. Pisanki is an art form of painting eggs. They can be intricate in design, similar to the famous Fabergé eggs, just not adorned with jewels and precious material, but rather using dyes to create intricate, geometric, and symbolic designs, often inspired by Ukrainian embroidery, which represents regional identity and heritage. So let's see how to create these multi-layered designs by applying wax to the eggshell as it goes through the different colored acid-based dyeing process. Our eggs have already been prepared. Today we are using yellow red, and black. The tool that you're going to need is a kitska to apply molten beeswax to the egg to create your design. The kitska is a tiny metal funnel with a wooden handle. You scoop up some beeswax into the funnel and melt it over a candle flame. Test it out on a scrap of paper to make sure you have fine lines and no wax blobs. So to begin with, we have to divide the egg into quadrants to help keep our design symmetrical. So you're going to use a pencil and do not erase because this will damage the egg. So never erase. You're going to move the egg under the pencil. And then you're going to turn the egg 90 degrees and do the same thing. Now your egg will be in 4 quadrants. Around the equator, you're going to make another line. Now you should have 8 places. It's time to sketch out your design. Today I'm making the flower with pine needles on one side and just pine needles with dots on the other. So once your design is complete, you use the kitska to apply wax only to the areas of the design that you want to keep white, the eggshell color. Then we're going to place the egg gently into the yellow dye. When the desired color yellow is reached, we're going to remove the egg and dry it off. Using the kitska, we're going to apply wax to the areas of the design that I want to remain yellow. We're now going to dip it into the red dye when we're done. We're going to remove it and dry it off, and now I will apply wax to the areas of the design that I want to remain red. The final color, which will be the background color of my egg, will be black. So we're going to place the egg in the black dye, and when it is done, we will dry it off. We are going to have the big reveal in small places at a time, and do not hold your egg too close to the flame, but close enough to soften the wax. Use a cloth to remove small areas of wax until the wax is removed from the entire egg, and voila, your beautiful multi-layered design will appear. You're going to use some lighter fluid on a cloth to gently clean off any pencil marks and just clean up the egg, but don't rub too hard or you'll remove part of the design. To preserve the egg, you may want to cover it with polyurethane. And there you have it, a pisanki decorated egg. Have a great creative day, everyone. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Now it's your turn. Join our weekly meetings and become a field messenger. More information is available at our website, unitednetwork.earth. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.